Okay, I guess we're not going to do a World Anvil ad, guys, because for some reason that scene froze up. Bizarre. Hello and welcome to an unexpected episode of Right with Diane. I am subbing for Aaron today. I still have things open, and I was kind of not really prepared, so please forgive my confusion. The page kept turning is what you guys saw. That's so weird. I don't... Twitch Studio is going to make me switch to OBS, I tell you. It's giving me a headache, I gotta say. But, welcome everybody, and I'm glad you joined me. Thank you so much, Onstaze, for the raid. I am not on camera today because I am still sick. I have a cold, but Aaron is in a lot of pain today. It's not a good pain day for him, so he asked me to cover, and I mean, it worked out fine for Wednesday and Thursday, so we're winging it. That's right. We're just going with it is what we're doing. So, is the music too loud, gang? Hi, James. Salut à Malay. Hello, Matissimo. I don't recall seeing you before. Are you new here, or has it been a while? Hi, Daz. Good to see you. Hey, Siobhan. Nice to see you. Yes, World Anvil is doing a Sunday stream because they didn't do one of their streams this week, so they're kind of making it up on Sunday. As to the question, what o'clock is it in Europe right now? I haven't got a clue because I'm in Canada. It should be 9:12 p.m. UTC, I think, but that's about the best I got. Give him a hug for us? Yeah, I sure will. Yeah, he'll be fine. The music is a bit loud. Okay, yeah, I thought it might be. I'll turn it down a bit more. No problem. No problem at all. Hey, Bob, good to see you. I was just chatting with Bob a minute ago. I was asking him maybe if he could help us out with something. So those of you who are in the World Anvil stream know that there is a challenge for April. It's going to be called Adventure April, and the idea is to write a one-shot in your world, and it's an official World Anvil event. This is then going to be supported in, and you know, it sounds like we're still talking about it, by an event in May that the ASC will be organizing. And basically that's about playing the adventures that you wrote in April. We have a showcase. Okay. Just so you know, I'm limiting it to 2 showcases today because I don't judge my throat. It is going to last the whole day. So we will do this one right away. Sounds good, Bob. I can't wait to see your plant. I was going to work on my plant challenge today, too. What are you guys working on? Let me know in the chat. We can encourage each other. And for those of you who are sprinting, the sprint timer has already started. I usually spent the first sprint in my stream kind of settling in, so... And you'll be more than happy to help out with the setting up a stream. Yes, we asked him if he would be willing to demonstrate how to set up a virtual tabletop and tabletop stream for people who might want to do that with their adventures that they're writing in April. So thank you very much, Bob. We really appreciate that. Okay, it's first read, so maybe much grammar and spelling. Got it. Ostaze says, I spent about half of my stream trying to get a sex traffic elf home, and the other half trying to work on an author pie. Oh my. They were differently painful. I hear ya. 1 second. Sorry, you just didn't want to sneeze in your ear. All right. Just a second here as well. Okay. Sorry I was muted. This is very annoying. Okay. Yeah, those are cool ideas, Daz. I don't know which idea to do for the one-shot. PC shrunk down to 6 inches. 3 inches for the gnome, or bad dream come to life. It's a pancake house nightmare come alive. That sounds hilarious. Bob says, I'm going to take the opportunity to write a welcome to the Feywood introductory adventure for newcomers to my world. Part of the starter kit that was talked about in Sage meeting today. Awesome. Alright, James is working on some admin stuff for WCs. I don't know what that stands for. Matissimo says, nowadays I'm working on a story that people have magical powers due to Felakiyat, an astronomical science in Middle East in medieval times. Oh, that's cool. Word counts. I see. Okay. Awesome. Alright, let's start Bob's showcase here. Alright. The Immortal Fey Flower from Dinosaur Bob's World of Carterion. When Father Berdia, the first Elevar to arrive at Carterion, created the common flora and fauna, and with Atazena awakened the elves. Cool. When Father Berdia created the Fey creatures, his intent was for them to revel in the beauties of his works on Carterion forever. Thus, the Fey do not grow old and die as most other beings on Carterion do. But Berdia also knew that accidents could happen, and he knew that one day other Astralar, collection of deific or near-deific beings, roam the outer planes in search of new worlds to populate with their creations. Okay, and that's a cool concept, actually, because that explains why there's a lot of, fantasy races, the standard fantasy races on different worlds. It's neat. Other Astralar and powers of the astral realms would introduce treachery to the world. Berdia provided a way for his beloved Fey to transcend these circumstances. The form his solution takes is that of the Fey Flower. Whenever the heart of a Fey creature ceases to beat, a Fey Flower will blossom to mark the spot and memorialize the joy and life of the creature that can no longer partake of the wonders of Berdia's creations. Note the careful symmetry of the flower. Each petal much like all the others, and all arranged in perfect symmetry. It is clear that's redundant, and you probably don't want to say that. Let's see here. You said there's probably much grammar and spelling, so I'll help you with that kind of stuff. 1 second. Sorry, I'm sniffly here, guys. It's time for me to take another antihistamine. I haven't done it, so just a sec. Alright, bear with me. I would say, okay, note the careful symmetry of the flower. I would replace... I don't know a good synonym for symmetry. Maybe harmony? Let me look it up. Thesaurus.com. Symmetry. Yeah, equilibrium, harmony, balance. Replace one or the other of those symmetries with one of those words would be my suggestion. Whichever one you like. I'll put the link in the chat here for this page. There we go. So you can have a look and think about it if you want. Okay. It is clear that Father Berdia intended this flower to be a testament to the beauty and order of his works, as well to the place the Fae hold in the maintenance of that order. Elven teacher addressing her students. Gremlin weed. In the time since Berdia created the Fae, other deities have appeared and made their mark upon Carterion. Some of these lack the power to create life from the magical energies that permeate the world, but they had the skill and ability to warp and twist life that existed into shapes and demeanors more suited to them. One such group of creatures are the gremlins, twisted, adulterated versions of Berdia's Fae creatures. As there are many Fae species, so too are there many gremlin species, each tracing its origins back to one of Berdia's creations. And while the deities who came after were able to twist and reshape their targets, they could not completely alter their base nature. Thus, the gremlins, like the Fae, are immortal, though killable. And when they do die, an analog of the Fae flower grows to mark the place where they fell. Some call these dark flowers, or black Fae flowers, but the most common name for them is gremlin weed. That's funny. Okay. Okay. Now that you all know of the relationship between Fae and gremlin, the latter were formed out of the former by darker powers that came to assault Father Berdia's beautiful works. Because of their heritage, gremlins too are immortal, though subject to death by violence. And when killed, their immortal nature is also... you have TE, which I don't know what it was originally meant. I would have guessed the, but you have the here. I think your brain skipped a word there, right? The careful symmetry of the flower. But just as the gremlins are dark and twisted caricatures of the Fae from which they respond, so too are the plants that mark their passing. You've got a redundant statement here. So too are the plants that mark their passing also, right? I would say, so, from what here, I would probably say, so the plants that mark their passing are also dark and twisted reflections of the Fae flower. Elven teacher addressing her students. That's pretty. I like that. That is perfect symmetry, isn't it? Basic information. What is the real name for that flower? That is obviously a photo. What actually is that? That's great. Okay, anatomy. Fae flowers and gremlin weeds grow a single stem from which a few ligulate leaves emanate. I believe I know what that is. Much long and narrow, much like the leaves of a daffodil or narcissus. Sorry. The stem is crowned, I think you meant, probably you needed N there, by a single flower blossom. In the case of the true Fae flowers, this blossom is composed of hundreds of petals arranged in symmetric circles around a central core containing structures that resemble stamens and pistil. They are not functioning reproductive elements, though, for just like the Fae that spawned it, the Fae flower is incapable of propagating itself. The fully grown size of the plant and the specific color and petal structure of each Fae flower, you need a comma after Fae flower, are both dependent on the subspecies of Fae from which the flowers sprout. Thus, one well trained in the lore of the Fae flower can determine whether the unfortunate creature that fell to give the plant life was a brownie, or a sprite, or a pixie, or nixie, or any of the other types of Fae. Okay, I think that to give the plant life is unnecessary, and you should probably delete it, because we've already well established a couple of times these flowers only grow when a Fae is killed, right? So it and then it would have a nice rhythm and not be quite so long, right? It would read, thus one well trained in the lore of the Fae flower can determine whether the unfortunate creature that fell was a brownie, or a sprite, or a pixie, or nixie, or any of the other types of Fae. Regardless of variety, the plants produce a faint, and that's the end of the sprint for those of you who are sprinting, produce a faint but exceptionally pleasant aroma. And how'd you do, guys? Feel free to tell me in the chat. Okay, yeah, regardless of variety, the plants produce a faint but exceptionally pleasant aroma that some say is capable of inducing a sense of mild euphoria. This aroma is commonly referred to as Berdia's breath. Yeah, that makes sense. The nectar of the plant, when collected and properly refined, has magical properties. Nice. I hope you'll be fleshing those out, because I'd like to know what magical properties. What do you do with them? And now we're about to talk about the gremlin weed, so I think I'm going to take a pause here for a moment in the break, gang. And I'm going to go and get that antihistamine I should have taken. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I see we have another showcase. That's great. So that's two for today. I'm going to hold the phone at this point, and I'm just putting it up so that I don't lose it in the links. So we'll look at that in a few. And yeah, if I feel better or or get a chance later, depending on the course of the stream, we will, I could open it up again, but we'll see. Okay, so James says, Pancake House and Porridge House sounds similar, Dazzlecat. Yeah, probably. Pancake houses are a thing around here. Plant, says Emily. She's all about the plants right now. Daz says pancake golems, pat of butter ninjas, syrup whip attacks. Sounds hilarious. Okay, Bob responded to my comment and said, yep, each race is the product of a different subspecies of Astralar. For the elves and fae, it's the Elevar. For dwarves, the Duagnar, etc. That's cool. Alright. And note the exquisite structure and balance of the flower, says Bob. Yes, it is beautiful. There is no question. And you picked one that looks very much a contrast after. Daz has a point. Bob, maybe take out what the teacher says of gremlin weed from the info paragraphs that doesn't so closely repeat the same info. Okay, James is chilling. That's cool. I agree, this is a great plant idea. Daz says, maybe gremlin weed smells like stinky feet. Shadow Malachi is here. All I will say is I hate Zoom. I hate time zone changes. I completely fucked up everything today about time zones. I'm sorry you had such a frustrating experience. I was catching some of that in the Sage channel. Don't worry, they run them every month. I'm gonna have to hunt for those pictures again. The credit links that Unsplash gave me are malformed. Gotcha. Don't worry about the video, Sable Radia? Okay. Yeah. My work used Teams and we're not normally allowed to use Zoom, but it's impossible when all the conferences are on Zoom. Yep. Google Hangouts is ending. I hate Zoom too. Google is just, yeah. They have a thing called Google Meet, and I've been using that, and it works pretty well. We also use Team at Work, says Laria. I use Zoom infrequently and normally for fun. Siobhan tells me that the flower in the pic is a dahlia. Oh, and Amelie says, because I always apologize for not showing my face, we can survive without it. Okay, that's cool. Okay, we're going to continue with Bob's article now. We're starting here with our gremlin weed, which is a distinct contrast. I think I've seen these flowers around, but damn if I can remember what they're called. They're a pretty ubiquitous weed, actually, so... Yeah, the gremlin weed, like the creature it springs from, is a twisted and dark shadow of the form that Berdia intended. Like the fey flower, a single blossom from a single stem is found. I'd say something more like the fey flower, the gremlin weed produces a single blossom from a single stem. You know, is found implies it just kind of, you know, is there. It's not really an active. It's a difference between active and passive voice, I think. Okay, while the leaves are still ligulate, they have irregular edges, sometimes serrate, sometimes undulate, and saw blade-like, sometimes irregularly wavy, as if the edges were too long for the body of the leaf. Yep, sometimes both. The leaves may have colorations ranging from dark greens to blood reds and near blacks. The flower itself is irregularly shaped, always dark in color. The aroma emitted from the flower extends the theme of the plant, and the creature from which it spawned, as being a distorted shadow of its original self. The aroma is best defined, I'd say the scent, at this point, because you've already said the aroma. The scent is best defined as putrid, reminiscent of rotting meat. There are real flowers that smell like that. Where bees and hummingbirds are attracted to the blossoms of the fey flower, it is only flies that seek out the gremlin weed blossom. Or wasps, I would say. Or possibly moths. Genetics and reproduction. Put simply, fey flowers cannot be propagated. They do not produce seeds, and cuttings taken from a stem or leaf cannot produce a new plant. If the blossom is cut from the stem, it will immediately lose its aroma and magical potential, and will rapidly wither. The plant will, however, grow a new blossom within 24 hours. It is possible to dig up an entire plant specimen for transplantation elsewhere. Care must be taken, however, to ensure that enough soil is... You got taken twice. I'd say preserved, maybe? To ensure that enough soil is preserved so that the remains of the fey that spawned the plant are removed. So basically, you got to dig up the whole body of the fey. And I'd say rather than removed, I'd say included, because that's the part that you want to take with you, right? If insufficient soil is taken, the removed plant will immediately wither, and a new one will begin to grow in its place, taking about 3 days to mature. So basically, wherever a fey fell, there's always a flower there. Growth rate and stages. When a fey creature dies, it decomposes into something resembling damp, fertile soil within a few minutes. And the first... Oh, okay, I see now. Okay. And the first appearance of the fey flower stem... And the fey flower stem will appear within the next hour or so. Yeah, the plants, because you don't need first appearance there, right? The plants grow to maturity rapidly, taking no more than 3 days to develop and produce its single blossom. You've got, again, grow twice, right? Mature, perhaps? Yeah, just a sec. Okay, sorry about that. Just had to sniffle here a bit. Okay. Additional information. Uses, products, and exploitation. The nectar of the Fayflower is a key component in the most powerful of alchemical healing elixirs, and is often used in the preparation of more powerful magical potions that render healing or restorative effects. Those who have achieved very high levels of expertise in these crafts will often seek out specimens of Fayflowers in the wild and carefully transport them to their own workplaces. It takes at least 2 weeks of collecting nectar from a single plant to brew but a single batch of these potions. Hence the very high cost of the product. Yeah, that makes sense. But this also means that a knowledgeable artisan would be willing to pay handsomely for a properly harvested specimen. Gremlin weed also has its alchemical and potion-based uses, though these are not for healing or restoration. In fact, different varieties of gremlin weed have varied uses, ranging from deadly poisons to mutagenic compounds that can be used to produce undesirable for the recipient effects. Yuck! While the market for these concoctions, or for the plants required to make them, is not nearly as open as that for Fayflowers, the demand and associated costs are quite high. Yeah, I'm sure. Big black market trade there. Geographic origin and distribution. Because the Fae are everywhere on Carterion, Fayflowers and gremlin weed can also be found everywhere. But just as the different varieties of Fae prefer particular biomes, the specific varieties of Fayflowers will also tend to be clustered according to the surrounding environment. The flowers that emanate from the remains of naiads, for example, will almost always be found along river and lake banks. One moment. Alright, sorry about that. Perception and sensory abilities. Those with the magical ability to be able to speak with plants have reported that both Fayflowers and gremlin weeds appear to retain much of the memory and personality of the creatures that spawn them, though the former is cloudy and the latter is magnified and focused. Okay. Neither type of plant is of much use when, for example, asking about other creatures that may have passed through the area. A Fayflower's attention is on the natural world around it. It can report on disturbances to the natural essence of the immediate surroundings, but brief transitional events are often overlooked. Are you sure they're Bob? Because, like, they've been there a long time. If somebody walks by and they're, like, stomping on things, wouldn't they notice that? Right? They might not also notice things like there's a deer trail running through here. The deer come by quite frequently. I don't know. Maybe I don't understand what's meant by that. Okay. Similarly, gremlin weeds will have taken notice of any serious lasting mischief that may have been perpetrated within its sensory range, but transient events are often missed. But most mischief is, like, transitory. Oh well. Okay, when communicating with a Fayflower, the plant offers responses in a serene, peaceful manner. The gremlin weed, on the other hand, responds with sharp, terse, and often insulting replies. It has been universally reported, however, that neither Fayflower nor Gremlinweed is capable of or willing to describe the circumstances of the demise of the creature that spawned the flower itself. Okay, that's a useful piece of information, because maybe somebody wants to investigate who's killing Fae in an area and they won't be able to ask the Fayflowers, so that's interesting. I'll note that you changed your convention part of the way through. In some parts of this, you've got Fayflower and Gremlinweed capitalized, and in some you don't. I think that you should decide which you're going to use and stick with it. Either one is perfectly fine. There's no, there's no reason why you can't do that. Okay, the Fayflower is a white dahlia, according to this link. And I see what's wrong with it. It just included the copy text information. And the Gremlinweed is also a dahlia? That might have been a miscopy. Neat. That is really cool, Bob. I like it. If I could offer anything, I would suggest that you might want to include some information as to how the nectar is harvested. Like, do you have to wait for the plant to secrete it and then, like, skim it off? Or what? Like, what do you do? Neat. Ah, that makes sense. If a lot of Fae are killed in one area, a flower may be able to tell about the deaths of other Fae nearby, just not itself. That's sensible. Okay. What have I missed? I cannot blame you, Laria. I would not use Google products at this point. They are always great until they decide to close them down. After they have closed down 4 products in a row that I loved to bits and used a lot, I have decided to stop using them. That makes sense to me. I haven't done much streaming on YouTube since they closed down their integrated, like, hangouts on stream or whatever. Because it's just so much more of a pain in the ass. Angstaze says that she thinks theoretically you can have 100 people in, like, a Google Meet. I don't know. I've tried 6. That can be hard on my processing, but otherwise. And, you know, my computer isn't the best, right? Okay, Bob added, if they're harming the area, yes. If they're passing through carefully, maybe not. Deer are Badia's creatures and are to be enjoyed. Yeah, sure, that makes sense. But yeah, they might, you know, they might say, leave the deer alone, they pass through here. I don't know, maybe, right? Yeah, capitalizing, which should it be? Nah, doesn't matter. Just pick one. Either one's perfectly correct. I'm starting to want to write about catfolk shoes. Why should I and why shouldn't I do that? Well, that sounds suspiciously like the elven shoes thing, right? How Janet is saying, if you're getting down to the point where you're starting to describe elven shoes, you may have world builder's disease, and maybe we don't need that much information. I don't know, it depends. That's the sprint, by the way. And how did you do, those of you who are sprinting? Emily's going to post her comments on the article page. Yeah, Bob was making some fixes, so that's cool. That's kind of what I'm here for. Shoes for pink toe beans. Yeah. Well, that's neat. Why not? Anastasia says we regularly have 20 in Google Meet for Toastmasters. That's cool. Yeah, I know it can handle quite a few, so that's good. All right. So we have 4 minutes left to the break here. I'm going to do at least one sprint before I'm going to get into the second showcase. Oh, thank you for the subscription, Loria. Much appreciated. Yay! I really appreciate the support. Thank you very much. Extra wide shoes for Hemingway's cat folks, 6 toes. Yeah. Thank you for the Hail Hydrate. So, James was doing some admin stuff, but he finished it. What's everybody else working on? I'm going to open up my star mushrooms here. I'm pretty close to being done. Getting there, anyway. I think I'm going to reload this page because it reloaded funny. Probably a bad image from my cache. Kayatan said, it made me realize that I have to finish my sapient species. Fair enough. You're welcome, Bob. Always happy to do it. Daz is editing. Shadow Malachi is trying to figure out how to set up an RPG system for my world. Okay, let me help you out there. I can do this for you. Here we go. It'll take a minute. Okay, so let's go. You guys know the Toysoldier Saga world, so let's just start with that. Okay. So I'm going to go to Edit World here without letting it finish loading because it'll stagger around because I have my Twitch window on the page, and whenever I try to load my stream while I'm streaming, then it just does weird things. So, alright. So in the Edit World settings, you have this. In the main content here, role-playing game system. And you can search for anything you want and add it. These are the various systems we intend, and that's the Get Back to Work Dragon, by the way. These are various systems that we have are intending to make compatible with our game world. We've so far got mostly a bunch of Pathfinder 1E stuff on there and a couple of AD&D things, so we're still got a lot of work. But yeah, you just select the system you want to use from there. There you go. Okay. And let's see. Daz says, I broke my chapters into smaller chapters, so I went from 2 to 4. That's cool. Kayatan is world building a city where he will set his adventure April one-shot. Awesome. Malachi says, since World Anvil supports Shadow of the Demon Lord. Yeah, just select it from the options there. And no worries. Oh, thank you for the hydrate check. La Labita, and welcome to the stream. I think you must be new, and I'm glad to see you. We're a writing stream. I'm currently doing some work on World Anvil. This is like writing sprint timers. Normally I show my face in that bottom right corner, but I have a cold today, and I didn't figure you wanted to look at my red nose, or me sniffling. So I did not torture you with that. Alright. Besides, I didn't want to get out of my pajamas, so I apologize. Okay. Right. Dad says, I still haven't decided if I should do the Pancake Nightmare or the Tiny Heroes. If you want my personal suggestion, I think that your Pancake Nightmare sounds more unique. I have played Tiny Heroes. I mean, that's always fun. Don't get me wrong, but if you're looking for something that people are going to really remember, the Pancake Nightmare could be pretty great. There is a classic adventure called Look What's Happening at Castle Greyhawk, and the whole principle behind it is that they're filming a movie, so they do all kinds of crazy pop culture puns on their various like D&D creatures and personalities and stuff like that. Like, okay, you meet Indiana Gnome, right? And I think it was, who is it, Asmodeus, animates an army of zombie chickens or turkeys out of the kitchen where they're preparing the dinner. You know, shit like that. So that kind of thing is lots of fun. It tends to stick with people, right? So that Gnome Ball was invented in such a way that's game in our world. Okay, I'm going to do the rest of this sprint, guys, and then I will answer Kayatan's question on the break. Yeah, and you have to make sure that the RPG features are enabled on your account. So you go to your account settings and double check and make sure that you have clicked on the option that says Enable RPG Features. It's on that page where you enable all the features. And yes, Malachi, if you're going to run it in that system, then you need to research that system for sure. Okay. I've changed my mind where I want that link. There we go. Okay. Wrong section here. And that's the sprint. And how'd you guys do? Okay. Oh no, I just saw that error in the chat. I'm so sorry, Moon. Moon says they had to put down her cat suddenly. Oh no. Oh, that's rough. What happened? Are you able to talk about it? Do you want to? You succeeded in not throwing up. Good for you. Yeah, I feel like shit and I can't even sleep. I don't wonder. That is terrible. I know how that feels. That's horrible. Picture me giving you a big hug, Moon. That is really shitty. Is that double S thing correct now? Anastasia, they used to give me shit for that in school. I mean, things have changed, so I'm totally willing to accept that I, may not be up to date. I thought it was the former myself there, Daz. Fawkes apostrophe. But, I don't know. Aw, Moonflower says he had terminal cancer for months, but his biopsy wound started to bleed again, which means he was doing worse than not healing. Aw. That sucks so bad. Aw, poor kitty. Okay, thanks, Anastasia. I did not know. Aw, Moon, that is so awful. I'm so sorry. Thank you, by the way, for the hydrates and the posture check and save check. I'll hydrate and I will stretch. I'm going to go back on the chat for a moment here. Yeah, Cayetana had a question. Okay, and I'll address that though. Okay, Cayetana says, any advice for RPG adventure building? I'm preparing for Adventure April. Okay, my advice is that the difference between writing a story and writing an adventure is that you have to provide options, because the characters will almost certainly not do what you anticipate. When you're writing a story, you know what the characters are going to do. When you're writing an adventure, you don't know what the characters are going to do. I think it's better to be thought of in terms of what is the problem that they have to solve, and what are the various ways they can go about solving it, and then give them options from there. And then even that will often require you to improvise on the spot once you have that. It can help if you're kind of limiting the scope. Like, a cool thing about a one-shot as opposed to an ongoing campaign is that there's usually a very clear goal in mind. And you can also limit what characters are going to be available to play around that goal. Or you can even create pre-written characters and have people choose from them. I mean, those are all options that can be done, right? Daz says, think of the big bad boss. What's he trying to do? And think of 3 incidents where the party will interfere with the boss or his minions. Then think about the final confrontation. Plan 2 or 3 social, roleplay, trap, puzzles, finding clues type things to place between the incidents and finale. Make sure that if there's travel involved, it can be done quickly so you can do the whole thing in one session. Yeah, that's really important for one-shots, for sure. I think that's an important note. Break up fights with things for people who like to think. Right? I'm the player who would prefer to solve the problem without having to lift my sword at all. Right? I want puzzles. Right? Traps are good if you have rogues. Make sure you got traps if you got rogues. But if you don't have rogues, if you're going to include traps, make sure there's alternative ways to solve them. Because I like to think my way around stuff. Like, if you end up in a fair fight, I haven't planned efficiently, right? I like to try to, do diplomatic solutions. I like to try to, get an advantage over the situation. I like to figure out puzzles. And there's players like me in every group, right? So make sure you got some stuff for us to do, right? Fights should be important. Don't just put in a fight because you think we need a fight. But you can give options for a fight if you think you might need to spice it up. Like, Bob's really good at that. He creates options for random encounters. He'll include them if he feels that, you need to speed up the action. And he won't if he doesn't think he needs it, right? So it gives an option. I also suggest that if you have not played role-playing games, make sure that you watch some role-playing games in action on Twitch so you get an idea how they work. There, that's my advice. Malachi says, my world's not really dying, but it's a dark fantasy world, so it would work better than D&D 5e in that system. Well, there's no reason why you have to use any particular system, and you can totally use D&D 5e for a grimdark world. You totally can. Right? Pathfinder also lends itself that way. Alright. Yeah, Laria says, I remember the one thing I was told when I started to GM, you will think you got all the options, A, B, C covered. The party will argue between D, E, and F. Good luck with the DMing there, Cayetana. That's great. This is how I feel about the group falling apart. I hear you. Aw, man. Oh, but wait, I can DM now. Okay, I'm getting back to the sprint here. After this sprint, we will do Angsthase's showcase. Okay. That is a 1 ounce mushroom. I wonder how much bigger my mushrooms are by scale. That's what, a couple centimeters? Alright, so calculator. Okay, I know how big those are. Those are usually about 1.5, no, 2 centimeters wide, I'd say. Similar height. So assuming a mushroom is about 2 centimeters in height and weighs 1 ounce, I'd imagine that okay. Alright, I said 2.5 meters. Times 100, I guess. 2.5 times 100. Yeah. Yeah. Alright. No. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think I want to make those taller. Let's see. Nah, 12 feet. There we go. I'll say 4 meters. Let's try it the other way around. 4. It has to be about that big because it's got to be big enough inside it to live in it. That's the thing that I said, right? So right. No, they clearly got to be bigger. Okay, I'll say they're about 20 meters high. And it'll have to be heavier too. Okay. Around 60 to 70 feet. Okay. And yeah, they're surprisingly lightweight. There we go. That's a way to resolve that problem. And that's the sprint. Alright, so I'll take that out of here, because then those will appear in different places. Those are the known trees of life. And that's the next important section there. Okay. Daz says, and as an added note, be ready to toss in a couple extra incidents or situations in case the party is fast. Also be ready to bend what they need to do to fit in whatever way they are heading so that you can finish it in one section. Or be ready to cut out stuff if they are slower. Emily says, Moon, I've just commented on your article. Now I remember when it was read during the stream, but I couldn't pay attention to all the sections at the time, so I've given it a proper reread. 6 stories high? Who's living in the thing? Well, okay, the problem there, Bob, is I'm trying to figure out, right, like, okay, the end result of a mature mushroom looks like this. Let's see here. As soon as my file manager fires up here, my Apollo. It looks like this one right here, this blue capped mushroom that is done in sort of the an art style, right? So it's probably about 5 times as high as it is wide. The width has to be big enough that you can make a room in it, right? Because it has to be at least as big as a tiny home. So, you know, a room should be what? You know, and there's also wall around it. Like if you hollow out too much in the mushroom, then you're going to destroy it, right? So there still has to be some wall around it as well. So I figured 5 meters by 5 meters, right? That's 25 square meters. Of course, that's pretty big, isn't it? I could probably have that, couldn't I? Maybe I will. That would make more sense. Yeah, 1 room per floor, basically. Exactly. Yeah. I've already said that, but I like that mushroom picture, Sable, says Emily. I like it too. It's cool. Yeah. Good night, James. See you Wednesday. Yes, I will be back tomorrow if you guys are around for Sable's World Forge at 1 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. GMT, and we do intend to do our game tomorrow night, but, you know, I'll decide, we'll know by tomorrow's World Forge stream whether or not we're actually doing it. If Aaron and I are both feeling crappy today, I'm, you know, dubious to promise that we're going to game tomorrow. Yeah, it's Saturday today, it's not Sunday. I know it feels weird because I'm world forging and I'm doing it in a stream at about the right time. Totally legit. I'd mix it up too, for sure. But yeah, it's, yeah, I'm not entirely sure we're going to do the game tomorrow night, so wait for the announcement during World Forge. Right, and then, I mean, if it's a 3-day cold, it'll be gone by tomorrow. If it's a 5-day cold, it won't be. So, I have to see, right? But, yeah, if I feel like this tomorrow, I'm not going to do it. That's just not fair. It wouldn't be a very good game. So, you know, and if Aaron's still sore tomorrow. So, we'll see. If you're targeting tiny home like a 3.5 meter round room is reasonable with a 4 meter diameter stem. Yeah, okay, that's legit. I was kind of targeting tiny home, but it can be a little bit bigger, so maybe I'm not too far off the mark. Well, with my 5 meter diameter. 8-meter diameter cap. Yeah, about that. For future reference, does Aaron know about unarmed fighting? Yes. Aaron took karate for a lot of years, is a black belt, right? We also did a couple other mixed martial arts things on the side. You know, I've had a very informal training in martial arts, but I also know a thing or two about it. He's definitely better at the hand-to-hand stuff then. Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely ask him. He'll know stuff. He can definitely help you. Yep. James says, Daz, I woke up in June and thought it was September. Then I realized it was June because I was sweating in my September clothes. Oh my god. Well, yes, time seems to have no meaning in COVID, doesn't it? Yeah, about an 8-meter diameter cap. That's about right. It'll be bigger overall. You can get 6 rooms in that stem. Well, that'd be nice. I think that's not unreasonable. Oh, that was 2013? Oh my god. Okay, so your sense of time is as bad as mine. Okay, we're going to take a break from this and we're going to do Anastase's showcase. And she is asking, how do you author bio? This is a fairly long bio, so I'm going to ask, what is this for? Is this going in your book or on your Amazon site? If so, it's great. Okay, if not, then, like, if it's intended for, say, a submission to a magazine, it needs to be considerably shorter. You've got to do 1 paragraph, basically, right? So just throwing that out there to start with. Yeah, that would be about right. Bob says, typical city old road house, 4 to 6 rooms, mostly 9 to 12 feet. So, yeah, about right. Little townhouses, kind of, so to speak. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, Heather W. Adams is a Canadian author of queer, kinky, slice-of-life fiction. She is fascinated by issues of consent and communication and the ways different understandings of the world challenge even people who are doing their best to be good to one another. Heather's stories are character-driven with a strong focus on consent. I would say that's a bit redundant. Since you've spent this rather long sentence, which is fine, right? She is fascinated by issues of consent and communication. That already says you've got a strong focus on consent. So you don't need to say that. I don't know where you would put character-driven, though. In that sentence, then from there. Okay, but the second leads to the next paragraph. Okay. For Heather, consent is not a simple issue of saying yes to things one wants and no to things one does not. Consent includes a whole spectrum of exploring what and how much one can enjoy, and Heather believes that one can consent to the exploration even without being sure of the outcome. The careful navigation of ambiguous or uncertain boundaries gives richness to Heather's characters and the stories she tells. Yeah, I do kind of like that, actually, and that's a good point. Between being Canadian and often feeling... But then the problem is with this is that you've got 3 emphases on consent. Right? You have a long sentence about consent, a paragraph about consent, and you're saying strong focus on consent in the end sentence of the first paragraph. So, I don't know. I try very hard to come up with good suggestions, but I'm not sure how to handle that one. I mean, it works, right? Okay, between being Canadian and often feeling overwhelmed by situations, Heather's so sorry, far more than her editors allow to make into print. Yep, that's great. Yeah. For as long as she can remember, she's been more comfortable exploring the world by reading about it than by experiencing it directly. Writing about situations that challenge her characters is an outgrowth of this. That's fair. This drive to read rather than experiment led to Heather's first exposure to BDSM concepts in the late 1990s. Engaged to be married, her approach to learning about the sexual expectations of married life was to read everything she could. None of her research skills sufficed to find information about how to enjoy sexual activity, but resources about safe, sane, and consensual kink were readily available. While the focus on pain and power exchange and BDSM resources did not appeal to her, the emphasis on granular and revocable consent did. It wasn't until her late 30s that Heather learned that asexuality was a thing, finally explaining the general absence of information about how to tolerate or enjoy sex. Recognizing that her asexuality was queer allowed Heather to accept that other people might actually experience sexual attraction rather than simply being manipulated into sex acts by the demands of peer pressure. Fair enough. I'm sorry that actually you developed that kind of approach about sex because your own asexuality was such that, you know, it just wasn't a thing. You know, and to be fair, I had difficulty understanding it the other way at first, right? That there was such a thing as asexuality, right? Because I've always been very sexual myself, right? So, yeah, I see about how that could be a difficult thing to grasp. That's totally understandable. Heather, and thank you for writing that, because that may help other people to understand the approach. Heather doesn't remember a time she wasn't writing. Encouragement on school assignments apparently did permanent damage to her self-image, fostering delusions of adequacy. She may or may not have a tendency to self-deprecation when writing author bios. Delusions of adequacy. Is that what you meant? Yeah. Okay, see you later, Bob. Thanks so much for your help, and thanks for your showcase. Yeah, the paragraph is important for own voices, but I'm not sure how it flows there. Yeah, Amelie says, it also took me forever to realize that some people are really into romance books and feel strong desire all the time. Yeah, I get how that could be confusing. I kind of selectively shut it off most of the time now because it's just distracting. But yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting how much that's a spectrum among human sexuality, isn't it? I'm really glad that ace people are being more vocal about their perspective now. I think that there is a lot of pressure in culture to appreciate and enjoy sex, and some people just aren't built for that, and that's fine. Nothing wrong with that at all. Let's see here. Okay, understand first of all that I am terrible at author bios, and I think they are they're the thing I like writing the least for myself. So I never really know what to put, and I'm not very good at them, right? So I don't know. Maybe I should just throw out to the general stream. Like, how do you guys feel about this? Do you think it flows? Do you think there are things that are redundant? Am I being overly critical? I could be, because I never like author bios anyway. I'm just terrible with them. I think it's a bit long, right? But I don't know how to shorten it and, communicate what you're trying to communicate, right? Because I think the context is really valuable. But I also know that more than 3 paragraphs, you're going to lose people's attention, right? So even with your author bio in the back of the book or on Amazon. So I don't really know what to do to distill that down into 3 paragraphs, because it's complex. And it is important context. Would the first and last paragraphs alone work as short bio if I can ever figure out how to fix the first paragraph? It's not bad, the first paragraph. I'm just, you're looking for critique, so I'm trying to find ways to help you tighten it up, right? So I am thinking about it overly critically, and that's deliberate, right? Because I'm trying to be helpful. So, how about this? Heather W. Adams is a Canadian author of queer, kinky, slice of life fiction with a strong character focus. She's fascinated by issues of consent and communication and the ways different understandings of the world challenge even people who are doing their best to be good to one another. End of paragraph. It's throwing it out there. I don't know. What do other people think? I could definitely use some multiple feedback on this one because I'm not as sure of myself as I am when I'm dealing with prose. And then to answer your question about short author bio, Heather doesn't remember a time when she wasn't writing. Encouragement on school assignments apparently did permanent damage to her self-image, fostering delusions of adequacy. She may or may not have a tendency to self-deprecation when writing author bios. I like it. Yeah, as a short bio, I think that would work very well. I like the tongue-in-cheek humor. That's a thing that is sort of in vogue right now with author bios. People are more likely to poke fun at themselves. Some of them are quite clever. I wish I could be quite clever. I'm not, so I don't know. I just usually give, okay, here is this relevant experience that has to do with what I'm currently writing, and that's where I leave it, right? It's important to put in a humanizing thing, so I say that I live in, in Canada with my 3 cats and my 2 partners, and that kind of makes me human, right? But otherwise, I don't know. Okay, Amelie has some good stuff. She says, I think it's big. I didn't catch if you said where you were gonna put it. Long version about me, short version other places that demand a bio. Daz likes the first and first and last paragraphs. Anastasia says, I'm thinking of striking the second sentence entirely. Okay, I thought that was the one that had the most context, but actually, right, when you can take the whole thing, you don't need that sentence. You're quite right, because you explain that, right? So, yeah, okay, you could do that. That would work. Okay, and let's see. Amelie suggests I'd even combine first and last to make it even shorter. Yeah. The first one is good, and you can just add there that you're ace. Yep. As a reader, I only read the beginning of author bio on Amazon or Goodreads. Yep. Most people don't read much more than that. Let's be honest here. What you have now would work on a personal website when people are already looking for more info. I always wonder, why do authors talk about their pet in their bio? How is it relevant to their book? But what you said makes sense, Sable. Yeah, I mean, that's the relevance, right? You want to know I'm a human being, right? And what am I into as a human being? I often put I'm a nerd. I like all things geeky. Science fiction and fantasy fan, if that happens to be relevant, gamer or medieval reenactment. Whatever. It's just stuff like that, right? And, I have 2 partners and 3 cats, So, yeah. And that's the point of that kind of stuff is, I'm a human being, and you might want to know something briefly about me as a human, right? So, Anastasia says, Heather W. Adams is a Canadian author of queer, kinky, slice-of-life fiction that is compassionate and character-driven. I like that. She's fascinated by issues of consent and communication and the ways different understandings of the world challenge even people who are doing their best to be good to one another. I like that too. If you think I can just say that I'm ace and have it understood, You live in the same sort of queer bubble I do. Yes, that's a fact. Outside the bubble, it doesn't convey the information one would expect. Yes, some people have never heard the term ace, they don't know what it means, and explaining it to them probably is not a bad thing. So, it is cool that you are taking time to do that. So, yeah. I mean, you could, because people do, but, yeah, right? It does mean you're in the queer bubble, right? And now you guys are too, because we talk about it here, right? So, yeah. Yeah, I think that's my thoughts on it. That it is a little long. I do tend to agree with Amelie that this is good for a website or about me where people are already looking for information. But if it's for Amazon, people usually, or the about me in a book, people usually don't read more than 3 paragraphs, right? So try to keep it to 3 paragraphs. That's what I was told, which is one reason why I'm terrible at it, right? And of course, if you're going to do it to a magazine, yeah, your first and last paragraphs are great. That works fine. That's great. I kind of like this tongue-in-cheek humor here at the end. I think it's clever. It also says a lot about your personality, which is something that's important to know. It makes you human, and that's cool. Yeah. New first, existing last, middle is for people who hunt it. Yeah. Yeah, and Amelie says 3 paragraphs might even be a little long, and she's right. But, you can get away with 3 paragraphs. Happy to help as much as I've been able to. I'm sorry that I'm not better at this. I always struggle really hard to do my own. I hate them. I'm no good at them at all. I admire people who can develop a really great author bio statement. I need to look up a formula, Put this in the first sentence, this in the second, this in the third, and if you want to, accumulate, a funny thing, you can put it here. Make a list of properties that would fit into these spaces. All right. So we have a break here. I am going to head off to a bio. I'm just going to use the break timer running, or leave the break timer running, I think. So when I get back, we will hop right into the sprint again, wherever it happens to be. Yeah, Daz says, once you get one, save it and copy paste. I do that, actually, but the problem with that is that it's not always ideal. Like, if I'm writing for a queer anthology, I'll include different information than if I were writing for, say, Asimov's, right? Because in an anthology of queer fiction, you want to know more about how I relate to the queer community. And the average person, it's not relevant, right? Doesn't matter. So you kind of got to fine-tune for whatever it is you're submitting to. Okay, I'll be right back in a few minutes, gang. Bear with me. And how are you doing on your progress? Let me know. Okay, I'm back and I'm working in the background, and don't worry there, Emily, I don't think I'm going to do any more showcases today. I'm not, like, my voice is rough, so I don't think that I need to put any more strain on it at the moment, so I'm sorry guys, if that's what you were here for. So I think I'm just going to sprint for the rest of the stream, if that's okay. And, you know, chat with you about what you're working on. Emily is doing commentary. That's awesome. Yeah, I don't like talking about myself. That's private information. Exactly. I feel that way too. Oh, is your birthday April 2nd there, Daz? That's cool. Let's have a look at what this looks like now, so far. Well, why did that not turn out? Does it say known? Doing weird things on me. Oh, that's gonna create a... Nah, I don't want that. Screw that. We'll be deleting that. Okay. I'll stick with what I originally had. There we go. Now. Ah, okay. No, I gotta do that differently. Alright, well that's good to know. We'll do those with a list then, rather than a key value. No, I didn't load the... I am confused here. It's not giving me the automatic functions. Why not? No, it's just not giving it to me. Why not? I don't memorize that shit. Okay, you will. Well, that's annoying. Guess I'll have to put in a bug report. Okay. Oh yeah, okay, so for those of you trying to put in sound files, right, these are the things that they use. You can do it by YouTube, Spotify, Libsyn, which is my podcast app, the one that we use for if this goes on, no panic, Bandcamp, which is where I have my music, Podbean, SoundCloud, and Anchor. And now I know that how the Bandcamp thing works, I am going to do some updating of my articles in a minute. Haha. Okay, let's see how this looks. There we go. And that's the sprint. I like to preview my articles like this because then I get a better idea of where to put pictures, you know. All right. Daz is back from the doggy bio. Emily has read and commented on 12 articles, and when she checked yesterday, there were more than 90. Oh, is that all? I might be able to do that then. Oh, Emily did it yesterday. She's added a pronunciation guide with the IPA reader. That's brilliant, and put the files in SoundCloud. But I had to add a 20 millisecond buffer at the beginning, since when clicking read on the file for the first time in World Anvil, it skipped the first 20 milliseconds. Thank you for letting me know. I will do that when I do the same thing, which I will eventually do. You will be able to get this for all of my dictionary words, I suppose. Don't expect that anytime in the near future. That is a good 5 years from now project, I think. I put the audio file in my plant article to show how to pronounce alacen. Did I do it right, by the way? Oh, and thank you, Lalabita, for your save check. Make sure you save, everybody. I have an autosave function with World Anvil, so that is saved, but I gotta make sure I hit keystroke, which is what went wrong the other way. Has anybody else noticed that the automatic list of functions up here doesn't appear to be appearing? Where you can just like highlight something and then select italics or whatever? Is that new? Or is that just something that's happening for me? I am pronouncing it correctly. Cool. Okay. Emily says, I spend a lot of time deciding how to write the names with the IPA alphabet. Yeah. Yeah, I think about my orc words a lot too. I'll go check, says Emily. Okay. Thanks, I appreciate that, because, you know, I want to know if it's like a bug or if... I know they added something recently that's like an overlay. It's normal for Natalia, so it might have something to do with the way my page is loading. Well, I didn't reboot my computer before I started because I didn't have a lot of notice, so maybe if I reboot Chrome. Okay, so it's me. Alright then, in that case, let's do this for a minute. Hehehe. We'll reboot Chrome and see if that works. Theoretically, the screen should go blank in a minute. And it did. Okay. Now we'll redo it and see if it worked. To fix my issue. Okay, I'm going to reload the page. What's that hard refresh? I'll just refresh here. Maybe I'll try a hard refresh after. Alright, it says it's done loading. Nope. Okay, so... And that's the sprint timer to go back to work. Do you guys know... It's one of the F keys. Which F key do I press to do the hard refresh? Because that might be the thing. F5. Okay, we'll try that. Thank you. I thought it was F5, but I wasn't sure. Hard refresh. Okay, something is awry then. What is going on? Is it just this article? There's a question. Let's try opening another article and see if it is. If it is, then I don't care. Whatever. I'll work with it for the one article. I'll try opening my article on Ertz because that article is small, and if it doesn't work, I mean, it's finished basically, so. No, it's not appearing there either. Well. I'll have to see if the stupid thing works when I reboot then, I suppose. I don't know. Check my account settings. Okay, I'm going to try this. Switching to new editor and then switching back. Excuse me. And that's the sprint. And how'd you guys do? I forgot what I called my May wine in Elvish, and I'm pretty sure the name is in Elvish, but I'll try it. Yeah, that's what I thought. Daz is doodling. Amelie has changed part of the design of her plant article. That's cool. I only have a sidebar at the top, but not at the bottom, so that it's not that empty for half the article. Yeah, you can do that by putting in the full footer section, I believe, right? Daz is deciding on pre-made characters for her one-shot. That's cool. I should do that with some of my articles. It's a good idea. Oh hey, we're at the end of the stream here, aren't we? This only goes to 4:30. I thought I was getting close, and I'm at 2,473 words. I want to add something else. Janet's video has given me an idea. Yeah, Janet's videos are good for that, aren't they? They always give me ideas, too. Well, thank you all for joining me. I'm going to figure out what the heck's going on with my interface here. I'm probably going to reboot the computer and see if that solves the problem. In the meantime, let's find someone to raid. Oh, okay. Ah, coffee's up. Shall we raid coffee, or is there someone else on who is available? I raid coffee a lot. I don't mind. I like coffee. I like her streams, but... Or you probably clicked something. Well, I looked for everything I could possibly click that would do that, but I can't find it. If I can't figure it out, I'll put it in the help channel, because I'm like... You know, sometimes I remember what I'm supposed to do, but I don't want to have to look it up every time because I won't remember whether UL or OL is for numbered or unnumbered lists, and I don't want to look it up every time, you know what I mean? So, I don't know. Weird. And as far as I know, I haven't even been in any of my, like, interface settings in some time, so I don't know. I don't know. Could be some memory issue with the computer. Chrome seems to be doing weird things lately. All right. Well, we're gonna raid Coffee Quills, who, of course, if you do not know her or them rather, they are a writing streamer and they do some, you know, stuff in World Anvil and stuff on For the Words. Tomorrow I will be back, 1 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. GMT, to do Sable's World Forge, which is a world building stream. If I haven't finished this by tomorrow, that's what we'll be working on. And I'm not sure what I'll be working on if I have, because I mean, obviously we're not supposed to start the one-shot thing until April, so I might do some preliminary notes on it or something. I may or may not be here for Toysoldiers, our campaign, tomorrow night. Please watch for announcements in the Discord server, which is here. Oh, I'll finish it first, I promise. But I might finish it today. I'm pretty close to finishing, so I'll show it to you tomorrow regardless, though, whether I finish it today or not. And, yeah, there's the Discord server, so watch for announcements there, or listen for announcements tomorrow on Sable's World Forge, so that you will know whether or not we are actually gaming. Either way, there'll be information. Yeah, and otherwise, Monday is our day off. Aaron will be back on Tuesday for Ask an Old GM, 2 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. GMT. Thanks for joining me, everyone. When you get to coffee, don't forget to yell, "Prepare to be boarded," because we are the Sable's privateers. Bye!